air support. If I go back to 1965, 1970, we had to beg for air support. That is, to get money for air support, meaning helicopters, to do some searching or to actually transfer people from this location to that location. It was always, that's too expensive, send the troops in, even though it was a long, hard hike to get in there and dangerous because you're doing it at night. Hanging a person on the outside of a helicopter, external cargo, very dangerous. From everybody's point of view, it's not done right. And we then said, okay, we will put in place requirements that are extremely rigid, and they will have to be followed so that we can do not only just hover enter and hover exit. You must be able to know all kinds of things about helicopters and be comfortable around them, and then be that person on the long line. And you must also have certain other attributes that will allow you to be sustained. Because I'm going to drop you off somewhere, all of a sudden weather changes, and I'm standing there in my BBDs. No, you better go in there equipped so that you can survive, like the Sartex do. So again, part of the package was that addition to the toolkit. We can use air support.
Well, about when I left the team, I became the coordinator of the emergency program, so I dropped my team membership. It was about then that the team realized that it had to do something different in the way of extracting people from the backcountry, just because of the call volume. Having a team in the field for several days at a time meant that that same team wasn't available for the next call out. And by then the pagers were going off maybe every other day for a different search. So the team quite rightly turned to helicopter assistance, including long lining, just to, well, it certainly shortened the time taken to extract somebody that needed help.
It used to be, you know, we had an injured hiker in the Haines Valley. It would be a full pole call out. You got like 25 people going out. Now we really limit it to the minimum amount of people. We try to keep people back so they're ready when the next call comes in. Having said that, if we do have poor weather, you know, we rely heavily on our boots on the ground members, and that's kind of where the challenge is, because, you know, the majority of the calls we're able to fly, we need less people, but we want to make sure we keep the remainder of those people engaged.
Yeah, like the use of helicopters really changed since it started 20 years ago. I mean, 20 years ago we had a hard time getting a radio. And, you know, we'd have a few that we'd hand out at the back of the truck at a call. Our guys couldn't even talk to each other. We had no repeaters. I mean, that's gone crazy. But to get a helicopter back then was a huge deal. Now it's almost a given. It's even the people we rescue, sometimes they are shocked that we show up on foot. And, you know, they call for rescue and we'll show up and they're like, where's the helicopter? We're like, well, you don't get a helicopter. We're going to walk you out. So it's, you know, there is a bit of an expectation now that North Shore Rescue, they just show up with their own helicopters, and we get tremendous support from the province. You know, if we need a helicopter, we get a helicopter. There's really no questions asked, and we do our best to not use them unnecessarily. You know, from our experience with North Shore Rescue, I mean, North Shore has been kind of at the front end of a helicopter rescue for many years. You know, back to the early 90s. And, you know, we were using equipment that had been designed and created back in the 90s. And, you know, eventually that equipment was becoming outdated, and Transport Canada wanted some newer equipment. And, you know, we were kind of naive enough to walk right into that. And I was the equipment officer at the time, actually. And I tried to find us some other solutions, and there was really nothing available. So Derek Thomas and myself, he's another rescue team member, we started Boost. And we work with the pilots from Talon and engineers. Like, it's a pretty close-knit community, and we had a lot of experts to draw on, and we didn't just want to design the same thing. We wanted improvements, you know, and I think through all our work and our calls, we really realized the things that we wanted to see and improve upon.
In those days, it was a busy year when we had 20 calls to deal with. North Shore Rescue now deals with 140 calls in the same time period with essentially the same number of people. And the big difference between then and now is we have technologies that help us. We now have access to air support. We didn't then. I can remember being on my hands and knees begging for an hour's flight time. An hour in the air was worth 1,000 people on the ground in many of our searches.